If you're anything like me, this time of year, as far as shopping and sales, can be equally as exciting as it is intimidating. So today's video, I'm going to talk all about some of the bad shopping habits that we can get into and how we can avoid those. I'll have everything timestamped and linked down below so you can skip ahead to the parts that you want to see the most. Before we get into the bad habits, I wanted to talk first about creating something of a shopping framework for yourself. I like to call mine my style compass, and I keep it in a little note on my notes app on my phone. Okay, so a style compass, what is that exactly? For me personally, I like to include things such as my 3 style words, a few key questions such as, can I wear this piece in multiple outfits? How well is it merging or blending with my current wardrobe? Can I imagine myself wearing this piece in 5 years' time? If I could only have one of these pieces, would this particular one be the piece that I would choose? You could have all sorts of things in there. You might even include your current style inspiration Pinterest board in there, a few images for visual stimulation. So the style compass is something that helps you stay true so you're not veering off course too badly. So with that out of the way, let's move into some of the bad style habits that we can get into and how to work around them. Number 1 is buying everything based on price. And I think especially at this time of year, the focus is more so on making your money go further, buying everything at a discounted price. And I think sometimes we can get so honed in on the numbers, on the dollars and cents, that we sort of almost forget the actual item that we're bringing into our life. We're more focusing on the money that we're parting with and less so on actually what we're bringing in and the item itself. Think about, is this an item that I would want to have in my life, in my wardrobe, no matter what? No matter if it cost a lot or no matter if it cost a little. Because as soon as you remove price from the criteria, I know it's important and we will circle around back to it, don't worry. But the thing is that if you're constantly only making your decisions based on the cost, based on the price, generally you'll end up being a little bit disappointed with your purchase. I know from speaking with a lot of you in the comments that it's so common for us to be able to treat somebody else and to be able to buy better quality for somebody else, and then a little bit more difficult for us to give ourselves that same self-love, that same self-care. And instead, we're always kind of bargain hunting and trying to spend as little as possible on ourselves. So a lot of the time it just comes down to this kind of self-sabotaging behavior that we picked up somewhere along the way. And so just repeat after me. I am allowed to have nice things, okay? I'm allowed to feel my best in my clothes. I'm allowed to treat myself. Something that I have practiced and trying to get used to spending a little bit more money on myself has been in the practice of actually going onto and browsing more expensive websites. It doesn't necessarily have to be something like Essence or Net-a-Porter or something like that. It could be like a really high-end, ethical, beautiful brands such as Christy Dawn or Doen. Just getting used to seeing the items that are available at a higher price point. If you're constantly used to, say, shopping in H&M, it can give you like a lot of sticker shock when you start to set your eyes on like more expensive items or higher ticket items. And I think it just takes a little bit of getting used to a different price bracket. I'm not saying we all now need to go out and make ourselves go into debt because we want to have nice things, but it's just getting yourself kind of psychologically used to a higher price bracket so that you can even see yourself wearing those clothes. This probably won't be for everyone because not everyone has that same like psychological block around spending money on themselves. Take it with a pinch of salt, because if you're the kind of person who gets FOMO and like looks longingly at all these things and like, I could never have something like that, it might be a little bit have the opposite effect. You will know for yourself whether you've like, okay, I've delved too much, I don't need to go on the Doen website anymore, and now it's making me kind of sad that I can't have those things. Okay, the next bad habit is in prioritizing the wrong items. And I think this typically happens when we actually don't have any priorities, right? We're just sort of buying willy-nilly. We're buying the first thing that comes across our laptop or our phone. And if we don't have a physical list of priorities of like, this is what I need the most in my wardrobe and this is a little bit less important, we're just so much more likely to just buy just anything that we're interested in any given moment of the day. I would do this a lot with thrifting in the past because it's just what's in front of you on the given day. You kind of just have to be spontaneous. So you sort of end up with more of like a jumbled style or like something that maybe doesn't represent you fully. I feel like the obvious answer here is to have a wish list, and not only to have a wish list but to order that wish list in terms of like which are the most important and the least important items to buy. I have a video all about that, going a little bit deeper into that, so I'll link that up here and down below. In a nutshell though, it does take a little bit of determination, it does take a little bit of willpower, and it does take a little bit of discerning actually what are the things that are current present needs in my wardrobe versus what's just like a nice to have. Sometimes there's just things that come across your path that you never could have planned on putting on your wish list, but nonetheless it's love at first sight and you just have to have it. But regardless, there still should be that prioritization in your mind of, okay, well, if I do buy this love at first sight piece, is that going to eat into my budget for a winter coat, which is something that I actually really need right now? And you can then just make the decision for yourself. So it's not about being super, super strict with yourself all the time. It's just about being intentional and actually knowing what you're bringing in and where your money is going towards. Constantly buying more basics. And I think there's a few different reasons why this can happen. I mean, number one, basics are kind of everywhere. They're really easy to buy. They tend to be low ticket items. And so you almost feel like they're free. It's that kind of like girl math thing, like, oh, well, I'm only spending like a lesser amount on it, so therefore I'll just buy more of them, or I'll buy them more easily. And so you just sort of end up accumulating more and more basics. It's also such an easy way to avoid making a bolder style choice, making a more brave style choice, and actually deciding to like hop off the fence on one side or the other and be seen to have an opinion about your personal style. On that kind of style evolution, it can push us outside of our comfort zone a little bit, because most of us don't really want to like rock the boat too hard. We don't want to be seen as too out there. Most of us don't really want to kind of field off these kind of comments coming at us, you know, we just want to wear our clothes and like feel good. A lot of personal style is just about, you know, building confidence and being able to just be comfortable in your skin and comfortable in your choices and comfortable with actually being seen as who you are. It can also help here to be really clear, not only on your personal style words and the things that you find comfortable and versatile, but what does a staple exactly mean to you? Knowing what you truly consider to be a staple, what you find to be comfortable and versatile for your wardrobe, for your lifestyle. This takes a little bit of figuring out. So it's not just that you now have to have staples that are bright and colorful if that's not your thing, or you now have to have staples that are clean and classic if that's not your thing. It truly is about deciding for yourself your own color palette, your own attention to detail, your own preference for neckline, your own preference for sleeve length. There's thousands of details, and at the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with them in your wardrobe, in your life, on your body. So you should be the one in the driving seat and making those decisions about which are the best staples for you. And then, you know, at some point you are going to have to make decisions not only around your staples, but around more of those statement items that you want to bring in as well, that are showing a little bit more of your personality and that are bringing a little bit more life to your personal style as well. The next bad habit is such a doozy, but it's impulse buying something because you just simply could not leave it behind. This is something that seriously comes up at this time of year when everything seems to be on sale and everything feels like a bargain and everything feels like I'm never going to get it at this price again. But it can also crop up throughout the year for people who like to thrift, for anybody who loves vintage, because these things typically are one of a kind, or they're the only one that you've seen. And so sometimes we can pick up these things that they're not our size, they don't fit us, they're not the fabric that we usually love to wear, but we just fell in love with it because of how unique it is or how rare it is, and we just simply feel like I can't leave it behind. And so you can imagine what your nervous system is doing in those moments. You're in this like heightened state, your adrenaline is running. It's really not the best kind of state of mind to be making decisions in, but our body is making us feel like this decision is life or death. And that's why impulse shopping and impulse purchases can feel so powerful in the moment and then can give you such regrets afterwards. I think really before we get in those situations, we have to give ourselves kind of pep talks so that we can just be a little bit more aware and not be as swayed by the panic mode that gets turned on. There's so many questions that you can ask yourself here. You can obviously refer back to your style compass as well, asking yourself really practical and really grounding questions like, does this fit me? Does this feel comfortable? Can I think of an event or a situation where I'm going to be wearing this piece? Is there anything else on my wish list currently that I need more than this piece, or that I want more than this piece? I think sometimes comparing and contrasting it, like if I only have X amount of money, would I rather spend it on this piece, or would I rather spend it on the item that I actually really want, really need? Obviously, another thing to think about is like, can I give myself some time to think about this? Can I give myself 10 minutes, walk around the shop and come back? Can I give myself 24 hours to sit on this purchase and come back to it? Sometimes I like to do things like that just as like if it's still here, it's a sign that it's for me, that kind of thing. And then oftentimes I'll just forget that I even wanted it, or that I even was in that situation in the first place. Having said that, I have a lot of like personal self-control when it comes to purchasing, and it's actually a little bit more difficult for me to actually buy something than to not buy it. So depending on where you sit on the spectrum, it might be easier for you or harder for you. You don't have to get things right all the time. You don't have to be perfect with your shopping habits all the time. There's no fashion police out there. And I mean, worst comes to worst, you can return it, you can sell it on the secondhand market or something. But it's just in trying to create a little bit more intention, a little bit more space between us and, those regret purchases that inevitably make it into our wardrobe some way or another. I honestly feel like this time of year, if you can keep your wits about you, is a really positive time of year to actually be budgeting your money for. And you can even start thinking now about budgeting for this time next year. Consciously put your money towards things that you know are going to be heavily discounted. I know it's not the only sale or the only sale time of year, but I do know that some people specifically just don't shop for most of the year and save up the majority of their budget for this time. It can also be like quite an interesting practice to just sort of like unsubscribe from all those marketing emails and just take a year off from shopping the sales and see psychologically how strong you feel, how empowered you feel from doing that. I've done that before in the past as well, and I haven't felt like I was missing out on anything. A little bit of peace and calm, and like, yeah, I don't actually need to buy anything. Just because something's on sale doesn't mean like I absolutely have to buy it now, even if it had been on my wish list. It's by no means the most important thing about this time of year, and no matter if you're shopping or not shopping, spending or not spending, I hope you're having a wonderful time with your loved ones, with your friends and family, and I'll see you so shortly in my next video. Okay, bye.